My cats were like just sleeping and now they're being insane. I'm on a time limit. What's up everyone? My name is Kelsey. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a quick video to try and convince you that you need to read The Last Son by Katie Edwards. A couple weeks ago I did a video explaining why I do my dedicated single book videos this way, so if you're interested I'll link it in the cards, you can check that out. But basically I'm going to try to quickly, like under 5 minutes, that's my goal, give 3 reasons why I think you should read The Last Son. So, The Last Son is the first book in a 9-book series, or 9 books, that's what's planned. So this book follows Rune St. John, who is the last surviving member of the Sun Court, after he is hired to track down a missing scion, who is the oldest son of Lady Justice. That's all the summary I'm giving you. I'll leave the Goodreads link down below if you want to read more. The first reason I think you should read this book is the world, which is pretty broad, but I'm going to focus on the setting. In the mid-1900s, the mythological city of Atlantis was discovered by humans, and out of fear and panic, the humans start a war, as humans do, and during the course of this war, Atlantis is destroyed. Now, during this time period, the Atlanteans, those sneaky bastards, started buying up land on Nantucket. So, after a peace treaty is drawn up, and Atlanteans and humans agree to live in peace, they create New Atlantis on the island of Nantucket. And they do this by basically snatching up a bunch of old, beautiful human buildings and ruins, repairing them with magic, and just plopping them down on Nantucket. The book talks about these buildings in a little bit of detail in the history of the buildings because it's one of Rune, our main character's hobbies, to look into them and see the history of them. For example, we've got the Pacific Telephone Building, I'll put a picture here, and the Riverside Hospital. And I just love the visuals that the descriptions give you, and like just the mishmash of the different styles and eras and origins and materials just being shoved together in this city so that they can live there. A little bit more about the world. The political power of Atlantis, New Atlantis, is held by different thrones based on the major arcana of tarot. So you've got the Sun Court, which our main character Rune is from, but there's also justice, death, lovers, strength, and so on. This is also a world of super casual queerness that embraces group marriage. Already in the major character group in the first book, we have gay, bi, pan, poly, ace characters, and the author has also spoken about some future characters in the following books that are non-binary and trans, so I can only imagine that the world is just going to get even more queer, and I love that. So my second reason that you should read The Last Son is the character dynamics. So the first 2 characters we meet in the book are Rune St. John, and Brand, his companion. It's pretty common in Atlantean society for scions, the children of the arcana, to get a companion who is a human infant that's bonded to them, and they grow up together and develop a sort of like psychic bond. Rune and Brand are unique though in that they treat each other like equals. We don't see a ton of dynamics between scions and companions in the first book, but for the most part they seem pretty businesslike and not very emotionally close. But Rune and Brand are not like that. They are friends and kind of give each other shit all the time in the most hilarious way. Brand is so sarcastic and pretty much has very little patience for any scion except for Rune, but the book also doesn't shy away from being like super emotional between Rune and Brand, and I just love that bond. There's also a whole cast of characters, and there's a serious found family element in this book, but the way each character interacts with other characters is so authentic and genuine and feels very realistic, and I should have timed myself. But my last reason, hopefully I don't have to cut anything out, are the sigils. The magic system in this world is so interesting, and it's one of the biggest things I bring up when I talk about this book, because there are magical artifacts from Atlantis, and there are really, really simple spells like making little lights that can just be spoken into existence, but for the most part, scions use magic through sigils, which are objects, usually jewelry or something that can be easily carried, that scions store spells in advance. And what's so interesting about them is that they have to be stored with a good amount of time, and the way scions store their spells is different for everyone. Like some people need a meditative state, some people dance, some people listen to music, some people need repetitive movement. So it's different for each scion, and it takes time to store these spells, and it has to be done in advance. They have to be prepared. Rune is different than most scions because his home and family were destroyed in a raid. He's the last of the sons, so he only has 6 sigils at the beginning of the book, and most scions have a fairly unlimited amount, and family armories full of sigils that can be accessed. But Rune doesn't have that option, so he has to be very prepared and very creative in his use of these sigils, which makes for some super intense and really unpredictable fight scenes. All right, hopefully I'm at my time limit. Those are the 3 things I hope convince you that you need to read The Last Son by K.D. Edwards. The second book releases next week, December 17th, so now is the perfect time to read book 1. Let me know if I convinced you or if you want to know anything else in the comments. If you've already read this book, please talk to me about it. There's a read-along happening for the first book on Twitter right now. It's the last week, so the last few chapters, but the hashtag is #LastSonReadAlong. And you should definitely come find the fandom on Twitter if you're into it. Okay, I post book-related videos every Wednesday, so if you want to see more, subscribe. If you like this video, hit like. If you want to keep talking, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Kelsey Reads or Goodreads at Kelsey Lynn Reads. Otherwise, I'll see you next week.